been testing me. Like I don't always keep the hammer next to me. Like I ain't got my DJs for the love for me. Like we ain't in the streets, but it's sesame. If I should listen, why she texting me? Why she keep calling my phone, speaking sexually? Every time I'm out, why she stressing me? You call her Stephanie, I call her Stephanie.
Katora Casanova Marrero, aka Young M.A, born April 3rd, 1992. Today's feature is one of those artists that technically had all the talent in the world to be one of the top rappers in the game, but somewhere there's a disconnect that's confusing to say the least. Hearing Young M.A rap is like watching a basketball player like Cam Reddish and not understanding why, with all the skills, perfect size, and opportunity, isn't at least one of the standouts of his NBA class. For me, Young M.A, when you speak of ability, is mind-blowingly one of those rappers whose punchlines you wait on because you know she's coming with something clever and witty that'll make you think how they even think to say that right there. I've said this before, there's good rappers, even ones that become huge in the music industry, but only a handful every so often that have that effect using punchlines that keep you in anticipation. Lil Wayne, 2 Chainz, Jadakiss, J. Cole, Big Sean, Drake, and throw in Young M.A. I've always been a huge fan of her skill and the qualities she's had to be a great rapper, like getting her industry start since her late teens, early 20s, cause as you all know, youth is what fuels a career path like hip-hop. She's had and has a unique look to her and the way she carries herself, and most importantly, she has a voice that's distinct. When you hear Young M.A, you immediately know who it is, and that's always been an underrated characteristic that makes a great musician. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Nas, and the list goes on of artists who at the second hearing them rap, sing, or speak, you recognize them. Not only that, her voice sonically is so dope to me, especially when she uses tone, pitch, and other inflections throughout that keeps you on your listening toes, showing her creativity and ability to transform mid-line. I can go on and on about the talent Young M.A possessed since day one of hearing her music, and never quite understood what was taking so long for her to experience her moment where she sat comfortably on the throne or close to it as one of the top rappers in the game. She's also a female that likes female, and although taboo on the male side, females have always gotten more leniency for liking the same sex in a way Lil Nas X, Isaiah Rashad, or any other male rapper that comes or is pushed out the closet wouldn't get in today's society and music, which all added to the positive characteristics Young M.A had to meet her potential. Her biggest moment as a rapper came in 2016 when her song Oooouuu released right before the summer and climbed to top 20 on the Billboard Top 200, was one of the most played summer anthems and club songs of the year and arguably the decade, and 5 times platinum, which it currently sits. Yet her debut album sold 22,000 copies first week, as she remains a star still waiting to shine like expected and acknowledged as such. What happened to Young M.A and her becoming a dominant rapper in music? Let's talk about it. Salute to I Am Chris Smith for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Young M.A is a rapper born in Brooklyn, New York, who's known since a young age that the mic is where she felt comfortable and music was something she seriously wanted to do. Her father, unfortunately, was locked up since she was a 1-year-old and missed practically her entire development years, returning home when M.A was 11 years old. Her stage name M.A means myself always, created to be a constant reminder to self to always be you and true to who she was, even if it wasn't understood by anyone else. Understanding was a lesson Young M.A learned many people didn't possess, being into the same sex, and knew throughout her career she'd always walk around with that label and confuse some that can't get over the lack of authenticity of a female or male appearing and presenting themselves as the other sex, especially in her music and visual presentations. She found luck in 2016 at 23 years old when her hit song Oooouuu released to perfect timing. but somehow she hasn't been able to find that same level of success since for these reasons. Stunt number 1, her debut album releasing too late. The music industry over time has grown over the years to the point you can make money and be successful in so many other ways than your albums going gold or platinum. But having successful albums, in my opinion, will never not matter or be a good gauge of the effect an artist has on the audience. Believe it or not, it's still for me a measurement of the legacy an artist will leave, because at some point they'll all become old news and their music isn't in demand like when they first came into the game. Before Joe Budden ever said Cardi B is scared to release another album, I've always said that and believe she too understands the implications of her album doing less than expected. Yet she's still a highly successful artist and influential personality on the internet, because as like mentioned, the internet is now a place that can create and build a rap career without the artist having to be successful album-wise at all. After the release of her 5-time platinum single Oooouuu, released May 2016, if Young M.A really wanted to capitalize on the star she could have been, a debut album should have came later that year. Had she released an album, let's say September, October that year, she would have went platinum out the gate with what Oooouuu was doing alone in the new streaming era, where those successful singles count toward that certification. A platinum album for Young M.A would have solidified her as a viable artist in the game, and the opportunities that comes with would have been endless. In reality, what happened was her debut didn't release until September 2019, 3 years after when it should have, and 3 years too late in my opinion. It also didn't even have her platinum single on it. Instead, songs like Petty Wop and Big that were cool songs that went gold and platinum respectively, but didn't hit or have the effect Oooouuu did. The album peaked at 16 on the Billboard Top 200 and was positively received. But it came too late and didn't push M.A to the next level as a missed opportunity. Young M.A herself says she just wasn't ready and didn't want to rush an album out, when again, in my opinion, a debut album should already be near ready coming into the game, as you've had your entire life to write about it, or at least after a hit like Oooouuu, there should have been more urgency to make sure it releases at the right time. Stunt number 2, depression and fame struggles. With all that said prior, I get Young M.A. I understand exactly what she means when she told Time magazine, "I fell back into a corner. Artistically, I'm not creative when I'm pressured. Some people were like, man, this is it. But I'll second guess it sometimes, and that's a gift and a curse for me, and that's what prolonged things as well. Your privacy is taken away, certain people in your circle change and see you in a different way. You maneuver different because you're not too sure of anything and of the people around you. Although I'm not a rapper, I do understand career success as a former professional basketball player and seeing the way you're looked at like an opportunity instead of friend or family member. You lose connections and respect for some of the people you once held so close to you, now seeing how they act for the chance to have just a piece of the fame, money, or influence you have. Young M.A, after her hit song and debut album, began seeing her world change more and more, and her circle became smaller and smaller. She dealt with issues with her mom, lost personal relationships with friends and girlfriends, not to mention the death of her older brother, all while beginning to drink heavily into an actual alcohol addiction. She's mentioned many times in her music her love for whiskey and cognac, and after being in the industry and having it in abundance for years, it started to change her mental state and began making her more paranoid of her circle and less creative. Not to mention less physically able to get up and go make music, releasing music, and doing everything an independent artist needs to stay in the mix. Stunt number 3, health concerns. In early 2023, Young M.A and her fans dealt with another setback that meant more music would be once again delayed. Again, like the delays in releasing music in the past, she had good reason. Physically, she just wasn't in the right shape to make it happen. Before, she struggled with a team that didn't quite understand and were scrambling trying to capitalize on opportunities for M.A being as it was their first experience in the industry as well. Remember, Young M.A decided not to sign with a label and has had to pretty much do everything herself, along with a few people she trusts around her as an independent artist. But this time, the struggles came due to her alcohol addiction, having to be hospitalized in 2023 for what she calls several conditions. In her recently released song Open Scars, she talks about quitting drinking, referring to liquor as poison potion, talking about how instead of hiding the anxiety and discomfort, alcohol actually hid who she really was. She wasn't able to be as creative at times, dealing with mental and physical issues, and it led to a lack of quantity, something she's vowed to stay on top of in her latest freestyle Watch, released over 2 months ago. She's released 2 albums over her more than 10 years active. The latest came and went 3 years ago in 2021, with another nowhere in sight, even though she's promised physically and mentally she's in a better place. All in all, Young M.A will always be a dope rapper to me. I'll always support her music whenever it does release, but I also admit that inconsistency and not seizing the moment has been the main reasons she hasn't become the artist she could've and still can be. She's just too talented. She had the game in a choke in 2016. Here's to her doing it again, but for these reasons, her growth is being stunted. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.